Hi, Tanya from Created Health, Nutrition and Fitness. Today's research paper is a really interesting research paper, and the reason why I find this an interesting research paper is because there's been lots of different research done in this area but not in this manner before, and a lot of people look for ways to try and cut calories wherever they can. So today's research paper, and it's great if you'd like to research this and read this for yourself. So the name of the paper is The Association Between the Consumption of Low and No Calorie Artificial Sweeteners and Cognitive Decline. Now, the paper was published on the 7th of November 2025. So it's a very current research paper. And it actually was a study that was conducted over a 8-year period. It was conducted in Brazil, and it was quite interesting that it was chosen to be conducted in Brazil because it was found that in Brazil there are a lot of people that use different types of sweeteners to try and cut calories to help maintain weight. The research that has previously been done on sweeteners have included things such as cardiovascular health and metabolic syndrome. So this is unique in the fact that it is about cognitive decline and not so much about Alzheimer's, but more the decline of cognition. So like I said, it was done over a 8-year period. And there were 3 waves to the research that was done. So the first wave was from 2008 until 2010. Then the second wave was conducted from 2014 through to 2012 through to 2014. And then the third wave of the research was conducted in 2017 through to 2019. They had a total of 12,772 participants. And the mean age for the participants was 51.9, give or take 9 years either side. So that was your average age group. Of that, 54.8% were women, and of the total amount of participants in the research, there was 43.2% were either black or of mixed race, and they were all Brazilians that were in this research that was done. Now, this is a longitudinal observational study. So with a longitudinal observation study, what they do is they track the same individuals over an extended period of time to observe the changes. They also used a food frequency questionnaire, and this was done to measure how much what the consumption was of these sweeteners, and they were tracking both food and drink. And with a lot of it was predominantly found that because there are so many packaged foods nowadays, these artificial sweeteners are found in a lot of packaged foods but also in drinks. So they were looking at food and drink consumption, and the mean consumption was between 92.1 to give or take 90 milligrams per day of sweetener. And they looked at 7 different sweeteners. So the predominant sweeteners that were looked at were things like Saccharin, Aspartame, Xylitol, Tagatose, which is not really that common here in Australia, but it is used a lot in packaged foods. But there were 7 different low-calorie sweeteners that they looked at in this research. And they were given a Z-score across 6 different cognitive tests. So they were looking a lot of memory recall, language, all different types of things to evaluate how their cognition was progressing over time. So it was really very interesting how this was done. And like I said, if you want to get the research and read it for yourself, look it up, the association between consumption of low and no calorie artificial sweeteners and cognitive decline. So, and when you look at the research, it goes into detail, and they look at the aspartame and the saccharin and all the different 7 sweeteners that they did the research on is broken down. So this is just an overhaul for you so that you can see the results. And so if you're reading the research, if you're not a lover of reading research or you find it confusing to decipher. So participants aged younger than 60 had a faster decline with their verbal fluency and global cognition out of all of the participants. So that was quite interesting. So the younger they were, the more rapid the decline of cognition was, particularly verbal and global cognition. The consumption of the 7 sweeteners was associated with fast global cognition, especially memory and verbal domains within the brain. And then they looked at people doing a consumption of combining different sweeteners. So they separated the sweeteners, and then they did a group of people that were actually using different sweeteners on a regular basis, so a combination of different sweeteners, and they found that the combination people had even a faster decline, even if they didn't have diabetes, and a lot of people were using sweeteners for helping with sugar insulation regulation for people with diabetes. So they found that people that didn't even have diabetes but were doing a combination had a faster decline than people who were not combining. And then they actually found there was even a faster decline in memory and global cognition in the participants who had diabetes, whether they used a combination or they didn't use a combination. So in conclusion, they did find that the consumption of low and no calorie sweeteners was associated with an accelerated rate of cognitive decline during this 8-year follow-up. So there you go. That's what the research says about it. I know that there are different forms of sweeteners, and in this research they looked at all the different forms. So they looked at the forms that were used in processed foods. They looked at liquids. I know that you can purchase sweeteners in a liquid form, and they also looked at the powdered form, and they're often in portion controls as well, the powdered sachets. So it was a very extensive research that was done, but the bottom line is this is the first time that they've looked at just cognitive decline and memory and verbal recall and all of those sorts of things, and they did find that there was a decline using whether it was a no calorie or a low calorie sweetener. So if you are using them, maybe you should take a second look at what you're using to sweeten your foods and sweeten your drinks, and maybe look at something substituting it for something more natural, perhaps like a raw honey or even a maple syrup, or maybe see if you can go cold turkey. Now remember to like if you enjoyed listening to this research update, so give it a like, and also remember to subscribe so that you are the first to get the latest research that I'm updating for you. And remember, your health is your wealth. I'm Tanya from Created Health, Nutrition and Fitness.